What the heck is employee engagement? My definition is engagement is a state of, it's a feeling. It's the feeling of being attracted, committed, and fascinated. Attracted, I want to do this work. Committed, I'm going to do it professionally and I'm going to do it well. Fascinated, I love doing this work. I can't believe they pay me to do this work. Don't take that one too far, okay? How many of you are in employment experiences or have been in employment experiences about which you could say, I'm attracted, I'm committed, I'm fascinated? That's, yeah, about the same amount of hands as for the boss from hell, but that's okay. And I am too, by the way. I love doing this. And it's what keeps you going. I want to talk a little bit about the short-term orientation of engagement, which has now replaced loyalty, the long-term orientation. Vice president of a company I used to work for, we'd done an employee survey. And one of the findings that came out of that survey was that employees were saying that they didn't like their managers. And the vice president reacted like this. What is their problem? Pretty much like that. I don't work there anymore. What is their problem? I've had a dozen or so managers in my career. Some I liked, some I didn't. That's the way that goes. What is their problem? Now, the vice president had spent his entire career working for one company. And everything in his experience told him that that was going to continue. That enabled him to take a long-term perspective towards his career. So that if he had a manager he didn't like, he could say, well, you know, this too shall pass, it's a bump in the road. However, his employees were saying, through the survey, were saying something rather different. They were saying that if they had a manager that they didn't like or was a poor supervisor, they didn't see that as a bump in the road. They saw that as a road block, and they wanted something done about it, and done about it now. Or they'll make use of the exit door. We need to take a walk down the dark side for a minute and look at employee disengagement. I believe there are two kinds of disengagement in workplaces today. There's the passive kind. First of all, these are people who are going through the motions. I believe the current buzzword is presenteeism. They show up, but that's about it. And they retired, they just forgot to tell you. You know, there's a real cost to organizations when people retire and leave. The cost is even greater when they retire and don't leave. And if that's not bad enough, we also have actively disengaged people. These are the people who will speak to you, if they can grab you by the lapel, and speak negatively to you about the organization. They're the we, they people. If you ask them to get involved with something, they'll say, you're wasting your time. Nothing's ever going to change around here. They snipe away from the sidelines, but they'll never get involved. I prefer to pay no attention to them, and I prefer to pay no attention to that slide. Oh no, we're not out. So what causes employee disengagement anyway? Here, this is not meant to be an exhaustive list, just a few examples. I feel the most important cause, or the biggest cause, of employee disengagement is the first bullet. Lack of recognition for achievements. I'll talk about reward and recognition a little bit later. But if you get enough of these things applying at the same time, you get the last bullet. If you're disengaged, you feel all alone, performing, frankly, heroic acts all by yourself. And nobody seems to notice, and nobody seems to care. And if you've ever been there, you've been disengaged. Let's leave this behind. What about money? Can we throw money at this situation so people don't leave? Yes, we can. A friend of mine, around my age, works for a very large, very successful Canadian company, and he's well compensated for what he does, and he hates his job. He hates it. So every once in a while, his employer gives him a salary increase or some stock so that he'll stay. So he stays, and he hates it. He's retained with money, but he's not engaged. Getting a promotion or a raise or a bonus or something, or stock, is kind of like, and that's a reward, right? It's kind of like eating a big, delicious meal. You push yourself away from the table, you say, oh, that was delicious and I'm stuffed, I couldn't eat another thing. A few hours later, if you're like me, your head's in the fridge, asking if there's anything to eat around here. Getting a reward at work is like that. It's really great at the time that it happens. It feels wonderful, but the effects wear off fast.